A very, very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for that very enthusiastic reception. And my greetings to all the people who are watching it across the country. I've been specifically told 18 minutes I have, so I'm going to dive into what I have to say. So I got to say about the fun thing that I really wanted to start off is about what a unique generation we are right now. And when I mean we, I'm going to include myself in your generation, which is way younger than I am actually. But the truth of the matter is, we are a lucky and an unlucky generation. We're lucky because we have to be relevant in our professions today at a time which is after a particular wall. Now I'm going to tell you what this wall is, which started in 2006. When we were educated, we were taught to handle our careers in a particular way. So we got into our jobs, had to be good at it, be relevant and be exceptional at a time when there was no social media. So those of you who were in a job in, say, early 2000, 2001, 2002, and then you got hit by this wall which came in 2006. Now, even though a few might not understand exactly what I mean, but I'm going to tell you that that wall, when social media, when Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, when information across the world started happening so quickly, when false news started getting propaganda, it changed the way people started thinking. And it started introducing a lot of conspiracy theories when there were none. Or it was misinformation when you needed the information the most. So what happened was, we as a generation had to transcend this entire generation of people who then came after the social media time and were completely having a different set of demands. And that happened to me. I started my movie career in 2000 with a film called Alai in Tamil. And then suddenly I realized after 2006 that the people I was catering to were completely different. Let me give you a small example. If you go to the gym today, every common man is walking around with a 6-pack, 8-pack. Every woman goes to dresses with designer clothes. If you go to a wedding in Delhi or Chennai and you see the Sangeet, I feel very inadequate because the bloody dance moves that the bride and the bridegroom are doing is way better than all the dance I've done in my entire career. And it's surprising I survived this long. But the thing is, when they are so ahead of you, when they're so well informed, when they're so on to you, then how do you force this particular generation of people and compel them to come on a Friday morning to watch your movie in a theater? And mind you, I need to convince them to fight the traffic, to pull out a budget of say 4,000 rupees for a family of 4 to go and see a movie. And I do that on the first weekend, because unless they do that, my films, which are famous for becoming posthumously successful, will stay that way. I had Rehna Hai Dil Mein, which you saw, everybody still talks about it and how good the music was, but when it was released, it was a disaster. It was a flop. I did Anbe Sibam in Tamil. When it was released, it's a flop. Now they have Anbe Sibam clubs all over the world and they watch it on weekends and stuff. So I'm the king of posthumous success. So the thing is, I was dumbstruck and I said, no, these people are, how do I make myself aspirational to this younger generation who are now sitting in the theater and saying, chal tu dikha mere ko kya dikhane wala tu. It wasn't like that. You went to see an Amitabh Bachchan movie, you're like, hey, don't talk, I want to see this movie, man. And you wanted to completely get involved, you couldn't see them before. Now they're able to see you back and forth. They get, your videos, somebody has access to the video clips from your house. You are as close, probably closer to them than most of their best friends. And so I realized I had to dig deep. I had to go back to my education, and I really had to worry whether I was educated enough or correctly to face this new generation of people who are coming in and demanding that I stay relevant in their world. And I'm sure that is something that you will have to think deeply about, and I'm sure you will, because I want to exchange and give you information that happened in my real life. So the point is, I realized my education was wrong. We were based on a system that was only judging one sort of intelligence. Whether you had the ability, like we did in Three Idiots, to understand something that is being taught in school, or at best, at least memorize it, and reproduce it on a particular day at a particular time, and therefore be worried, and therefore be classified as a successful, A grade, and then be judged on it. And if you couldn't, then you were a dumb. I can't say the word ass, but I'm just saying. But it was so true. Judgments were passed on your ability right at school level. And I can assure you that everybody here wasn't a valedictorian. In fact, most of you who are successful wouldn't have been close to being a valedictorian in school. I'm sure, my apologies to those who were, but I'm just telling you, I wasn't one. I wasn't one. And then I suddenly realized that I read something very interesting, where they said during our, the development stage of mankind, when we were in the tribes and in the evolution stage, the tribe was more likely to survive and become successful if every member of the tribe looked at the world differently from what they were taught. So if a member was intelligent enough to hunt differently, if another member was smart enough to organize the food that they had got to survive the winter differently, if somebody had the ability to tell a story about what the elders used to do to a younger generation and thereby carry the survival stories down, that was done differently. Or there was navigational intelligence. So the kind of intelligence that we don't test in our school, the spatial intelligence, the navigational intelligence, the organizational intelligence, the ability to reproduce creative stuff, intelligence, that's not tested in school. And that needs to be, because that is going to become your survival tech tool right now. Because I can promise you, and please raise your hands if I'm wrong, how many of y'all are actually pursuing the career that you studied for? One photographer. I love you, my friend. I see, I rest my case. And so I just wanted to tell you that I came to a situation in my career in 2012, 5 years after the social media, where I suddenly realized that I was becoming obsolete, that I was not aspirational. I didn't have the ability to dance like the youngsters were doing. I didn't have the ability to convince myself that wearing an orange pant and green shirt in Switzerland was entertaining people that I was trying to entertain. And the demography of my audiences were changing, and they were the ones who were considering, you look like an educated guy. So every time a director came to me and said, so you will start off from a village where you're an uneducated and hungry for food. I said, my face doesn't fit that. There is no angle that I look hungry and educated. And then I realized I had to say no to money. That was the first thing I realized, was I had to say no to what looked like instant gratification. Somebody was offering me more money than I was getting from the rest of my movies, but there was a role that was not me at all. And then I realized that I was falling desperately in the eyes of people because I was accepting those roles. So I took a break. I took a break because my wife saw me going out to work one day, and as I was heading out, she looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "What?" She said, "You don't look like you're so excited about the work you're going to do as you used to when you started doing it." I said, "Yeah, but that's okay. Are you happy? We've got the money. It's all cool." She said, "No, Maddie, I'm just saying that you don't look enthusiastic." I said, "It's all fine." But I was thinking all along on that long drive to the shoot what she was trying to say. And you know what I realized? This is a disease that every actor has, and I'm saying it because I'm confident about it. We can't wait for the movie to start. The first question is, who's the director? Okay, who's the producer? Great. Who's the hero? Yeah, good. And then, who's the rest of the people? Where are we shooting? Switzerland. Superb. Okay, everything is hunky-dory. We can't wait to start the film. But ladies and gentlemen, do you know the first question we ask when we go onto the set as actors? Bhai, pack up kitna baje aaj? We can't wait to get over the first day. The idea of transcending that first day as a challenge is the first thing that worries an actor. Because you know that you're being judged on that very first day that you go to act. You're being judged not just by your director, you're being judged by the rest of the unit who are like already saying, "Oh yeah, there's Maddie coming to, or Kamal sir coming to act," including your staff members are like, "It's been 2 years since he acted, let's see if he can pull it up." All sort of judgment that happens, and nobody can forgive you for screwing up on that day because you don't get to see that shoot that scene again. So I realized that I was completely demotivated. I was just living the rut, and that was the beginning of the downfall. So I bit the bullet. What I basically did was, I gave up on all the jobs that were being offered to me. I gave up my endorsements, I gave up appearances and everything, and I started doing a hardcore introspection of why I was not happy with the work I was doing. And suddenly I realized, which again is a lesson that I was trying to tell you, is that I was catering to the grooves that were set for me by the other actors. I was being judged not by the people, not by my clients, but by the management, by the industry that was measuring up and saying, "Hey, can he dance like Hrithik Roshan? Does he know how to fight like Akshay Kumar?" And I was falling short on all those departments. So that was not the groove that I was meant to be judged by. And so I said, fine, I think it's time for me to retire respectfully. Let me not do any more movies. So I actually took a sabbatical, which I was in the verge of continuing as a retirement. And then one day, I realized that I'm being judged wrong. Like I have been educated wrong, I have been judged wrong. Why should I have to wear green pants and orange shirt or do everything else that other actors do? There are already people who are doing that. I could ski, I could swim, I could play golf, I was a public speaker, I know about hydroponics, I can grow organic vegetables. There are 10,000 things that I can do that I had not presented to the world outside. There was an aspect and a facade of me that I had not even shown people. And again, I'm saying that spatial intelligence, that navigational intelligence, the kind of work that you do, the kind of solutions that has been provided to you by your seniors does not really mean that it's a valid solution today. And the moment you look at it and you say, I can't solve it, therein begins your plateau, and after that, your inadvertent demise. And so I took it upon myself to say, no, you know what, I'm going to make a movie. I had military experience. I had been trained in arts that I had never shown in the movie. I mean, I knew how to hold a gun. I knew how to unload a gun. I know how to dismantle it, put it back. None of this was shown in any of the movies that were being offered to me, because my first film was a blockbuster because I was a lover boy. And unfortunately, it sticks to me even now. But the best part was, when I took that stance, I found a story that I knew that I had to metamorphosize and make myself aspirational to get into. So one of the clippings that you saw was one of my first projects that I did after that, called Sala Kadus or Iridi Sutra in Tamil, where I was playing a boxing coach to a girl who eventually becomes a world champion. Now, nobody wanted to fund that film of mine. Nobody wanted to produce that film of mine because they said, you're playing second fiddle to a girl and you're going to be a boxer, really? And then they said, and so I spent 2 years trying to convince a group of people that that was a viable project. Now, you won't believe it. I had some of the top names in the industry, and the last step, and people had to put the money, it would falter. They would walk out. And there was one point of time when I said, 2.5 years, to hell with it. I don't want to do this movie. I'm done with it. I told my friend, I had a very close friend of mine called Paresh in LA, and I said, you know what, man, I'm done. We've talked about it and everything, and motivation and everything has happened. But this is crap. It's not happening. The rug was pulled out of my feet yesterday. And I had to start the whole fight from all over again. And he told me one thing which I never forgot. He said, Maddie, I have become bankrupt 3 times. And on the 4th time, and he's an extremely successful entrepreneur in the US who sold his last company for X million dollars. And he's retired at the age of 44. And he's a rock star, basically a guy I admire a lot. And he said, but before all this, I had failed 4 times to become bankrupt. And there was this chance, and I got to tell you that I learned my lessons more on those 3 failures than I did the success. And that is, he said, the moment you give up at this stage in your career or this stage of your challenge, then know this, that the next time you face another challenge, you'll give up way ahead of this point. And the next time you face another challenge, you'll give even lesser than that. And he says, there is a solution. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. All you have to do is apply yourself, look around, look differently, go against your conditioning. And that made a lot of sense, because he said that the least that can happen, maybe this film is made and it becomes a flop and you don't make money, but the least you can get out of it is an extraordinary experience of what you did wrong. And don't miss out on the opportunity to at least find that out. That was a turning point. And I went on to make this movie. It became a big hit in the South. It became, I picked up this girl, Ritika, from actually a boxing ring. She was a boxer with no experience of acting. She did the film in Tamil and in Hindi, and she won the national award for this. So, yeah. But I just want to say you have to be worthy of the job that is being offered to you. I'm going to end this with a little bit of anecdote, which happened to me in my real life. And then, of course, I'm going to open it out to questions. I had an assistant called Basha. When I'm saying this girl won the national award, was because I was able to spot the talent, and she was worthy of the opportunity given to her. I had an assistant from Hyderabad. And small village, he had to travel almost 4 hours before they got to a railway station. That's how remote he is from. And suddenly, he was recommended by his brother who worked for me, and I had this man working for me. And all of a sudden, this man, Basha, was a rock star because he was working for Madhavan. And he had become a star in his village because of that. But he doesn't know how to read or write. And he was my spot boy. He'll just take care of everything. So whenever I went abroad, it was very difficult to understand who the boss was and who the assistant, because once he was on the flight, he used to come and give me the landing form. Sir, Bardo. So I had to fill his landing form. Yes, sir. What it is, passport number. And and I realized there's something wrong. I shouldn't be giving this job to him And finally what happened was we were traveling from Chennai to Japan, to Tokyo via, a Korean airline or something like that. And it was late at night. I'd been working for 4 nights and days, and I had got and I said, Basha, he was used to creating scenes. I said, please, for goodness sake, just let me sleep tonight. He said, no, sir, don't worry. And now this man is sitting in the economy section on the front row, because as soon as the plane stops, he's the first one to come and help me take the luggage and go out. And I'm in the business class, and I'm fast asleep, and the plane is taken off from Chennai. And somewhere in the middle of it, the air hostess comes to me. He's like, hello, good morning, big trouble, big trouble. I said, what happened? I said, what happened? She said, come, you're mad, big trouble. I said, okay. So I walk back, and there is commotion on the front row. There are two Chinese have stood up on one side. The other lady is actually lying down looking at him afraidly. And Basha standing there flabbergasted. And there's another guy with a red face looking at Basha, really upset. I said, what the hell happened? And Basha said, sir, all his fault. It's not my fault, sir. I said, what happened? So now Basha has actually sat down and the plane has taken off. The dinner has been served. And because there was a lot of pork and everything, Basha is very upset. He's not had his dinner. And he saw that a Tamil movie is being shown. That to my movie. So being a loyalist, he turned on that movie, put on the earphones and started watching it. And no reflection on my film, but he slept after that. Right? And as he slept, I think, everything became quiet. And the air hostess came and, very politely put the blanket on him, and Basha woke up. And then he saw the screen in front of him, but he couldn't hear anything. So he took the remote and started increasing the volume. Because he couldn't hear the dialogues or the song, whatever he wanted to see, he kept hearing it, increasing it, and no sound is happening. So he went on to the tip, right? What happened was, the guy beside him was a Chinese guy who had put on earphones, was watching an action film. And he had gone to sleep. Now Basha, instead of taking his remote, had taken the other guy's remote and put it at full volume. So this Chinese, in the middle of the night when the explosion happened in the movie, he got up like that. Frightened Basha, who got up and slapped him, because he frightened Basha. I'm like, so, the whole commotion was, then I came and I said, I'm really sorry. The Chinese was like, no, I'm going to do whatever. They couldn't speak. And I told him it's okay. He thought it was, a mistake and stuff. And finally, the end of the day, the sum and substance of it all was that I ended up sitting in the economy and he went to the business. He had a good trip, And of course, while landing, he gave me the landing card again to fill up. But anyway, that was the importance of what I wanted to say is that you have to be worthy of your job, and you have to be constantly ready for that disruption, because the only thing constant in your lives till the time you decide to jump off the gravy wagon is going to be disruption. Thank you so much for having me over here, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm 3 minutes before time. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that's good. So that means you have more time for questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So maybe we'll start off with one question, which is that
Oh, okay. Thank you.
yeah, so both success and failure teach in different ways. And what is your experience of what you learn from each of them? Sometimes each of them can also stop you from growing. Sometimes too much success stops you from growing, and sometimes too much failure can get you down. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on success and failure.
Okay, that's a very relevant question. The reason being, I think what really determines how you attack a particular success or a failure is actually your state of mind in life at that point of time. What your end game is deciding. Most people are fighting a battle without actually defining what their end game is. What is it that you really want to achieve? What is it that you want to sit back at 60 years old and say that this is what I have done? And I mean it in a very tangible sense. I'm saying, look around you. How many of these people would you like to have as neighbors? What is your typical day, the day you think you've retired from active job? And what is it that you're achieving? What is the position that you want your family to be in? So there are different stages. When you're on the warrior stage, when you're 25, 26, and 30, these failures and successes have got to be transient. You just, like for example, when I have a hit, when I'm a film which is a hit when I was 30 years old, then I will tell you what I used to do is celebrate like crazy for that one day. I go overboard and I will celebrate, have a great time, go to sleep and forget about it, completely neutralize the effect of that success and head on. When I have a failure, when I used to have a failure then, it was even more easy to completely feel horrible about it for that one day, sleep over it, reset it, go back to the next movie because it's a completely new baby. So as you grow older, the impact of those success and failures are a little longer. The harder you try to get out of the loop, the more tougher it gets. And that comes to a point when you become irrelevant because you're only relying on your past success. So when you do that, there's a time that you realize you have to retire with dignity.
That's a good lesson for us because we just finished 25 years and you can't just rest on the successes of 25 years. You have to look to the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So while Arun gets to ask all these serious or the real questions, I get to ask all crazy questions that are coming through our app. So the question that's asked here, Maddie, is you've had the chocolate boy looks, you've had the chocolate boy image, but you've never really been associated with like some of the other actors. You haven't used a standard mold of being associated with some of your co-stars. I mean, did you work on it or you just didn't get lucky? What was it?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I've always been accused of being an intelligent man.
Yeah, I saw some results that
and a good actor.
don't do well, yeah.
And a good actor.
Yeah.
So when I behave innocent,
I
rest
get
my case.
Maybe I'll go to another serious question.
Of course.
Now, which is about introspection. The story you talked about, the story of your life, there were aspects of it where you thought back and said, why am I doing this? What should I do differently? And all of us live extremely busy lives and often don't take the time to sit back and introspect. So,
it is extremely important to introspect and not find time to do it, but it's a constant stuff that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. In this vastly changing vista of challenges, you can't afford not to introspect. And I'm telling you, at a point of time, for example, they say, your gut is your second brain. I don't know how many of you all know, but the amount of importance that is given to the gut in the Indian Shastras are so much that it's considered to be a second brain. And you will realize when you have either fever or food poisoning or there is indigestion, you're not able to sleep peacefully. You get lucid dreams that look almost sound real. It's almost like hallucinating, right? That is the kind of craziness that can happen with your thought process when you don't introspect. When you're not able to be healthy enough to introspect at a healthy time in your life, what happens is your decisions then, as they say in the Shastras, vinashkal viparita buddhi, right? You take decisions that continue to be a mistake over a mistake over mistakes, and that is because of a deep lack of introspection. So there are many directors, and I will use only my industry's example. There are many directors who are extraordinary, who are willing to survive today. People are willing to put money on their films, but they know that they can't make relevant films because they're relying on their life experiences, which are irrelevant today. And I'm saying that the only thing that is going to be your guiding force is your life experiences, what you go through. And if you're not able to draw proper inferences from those life experiences while you're doing the introspection, you've already lost the battle of being a warrior in the profession that you're in right now. It doesn't mean that's the end of your life. There are many people who are absolutely successful and probably more happy than the visibly successful ones. And by that I mean people who could have retired at a much earlier age or given up and happy at a plateau that they reached because there is happiness in the other aspects of their lives. The problem with our industry today is that, we're so influenced by the Western culture. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. We're so influenced by the Western culture that not only the route to success, but success by itself is defined by the Western standards. And for a Western, a family, with due apologies, he's happy when his son leaves home at 17. He's happy living alone. He's happy in a community where he's healthy and, healthcare is taken care of and everything. It doesn't matter how much money I give you, an Indian family, or how your healthcare is taken care of. Unless your children and your grandchildren and your parents, God willing they're alive, are close to you and you're able to take care of them, your happiness is not complete. So there is no point in having that kind of happiness where you're sitting there yearning to meet your grandson, yearning to meet your grandchild, yearning to meet your family, or at my age, when there's a problem with the health of your children as well as that of your parents and yours, everything just becomes, you have to find your groove of finding satisfaction as well. Because that balance, if you don't find, and that balance comes with introspection, if you're not able to find that, you'll find the entire purpose of what you're doing is futile, and then you become unproductive.
It's really finding your own balance, finding your own sense of success.
Yes.
I really liked what you said about Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi, because it really talks with them about the need for detachment when things are going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I think the last question, and Anand had told me not to ask this question.
Okay, good, Anand. I'm not going to answer
Sorry, but now that you're on the spotlight, I might as well ask this. Right? So I think I was looking at your profile, right? You started work way back in '96. Four Filmfare Awards across different languages. You've done different movies. You've done Netflix recently, I believe.
Yeah, you're going to kill me. It's Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. So we'll edit it. We got a smart tech team working in the back. We'll get it. So Amazon won't feel bad about that.
Okay.
But so tell me, as you did all of that, it's a fabulous journey. Did you ever think that you would be sitting here at KPMG being interviewed by
What can I say? It was
A horror story here.
Yeah. What can I say? It was a lifelong ambition, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madhavan for you. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was
you.
truly a privilege having you.
Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Can we try and do a selfie with the group? Let's
Yeah.
try and see if it works, Arun. If you can
Okay.
come here, I'm going to try. And not the longest pair of hands, but we're going to make an attempt.
That's technology for you. There
All
we
right. And we swing. The crowd in the back. Can you put that lights off slightly, please? Vipul? Okay, got it.
All right.
And we'll do one with this side of the group.
All right.
Such a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a lovely day.
So we are